I'm the entrepreneur that does it for the money. I'm
I
kidding. I'm kidding. But like I definitely am doing it a lot for the money and for the mission. But
but are you? Because like for example, the spec thing, you wanted to do something first
I
and
did.
tied to the money. There's not just purely money. It's
It
money
was
and
never purely
something.
money. It's never
Yeah.
purely money. So, welcome to the messy middle. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We have Teddy and Frank here today. We're
Exactly. And
live.
no more jokes about me not making some intro. I hope you guys enjoy this beautiful intro.
Oh, yes. I actually love that intro. Yeah.
It was a team
So,
effort.
a team effort.
Effort.
Today, we are talking about what is it?
Discipline.
Discipline?
Yeah,
Discipline. Yeah.
discipline is one. And the second one is the illusion of grandeur, or that, but we'll talk about the people who get into entrepreneurship for money versus, something else. And so maybe motivation is the second one. So discipline and motivation,
Sure. So,
which are two things that going to help you to survive the messy middle.
yeah, absolutely. And I think
The
the
messy
three
middle
of us,
compass. Yeah.
and it's funny, like I was texting you guys last week, because I was doing my analysis of where I'm at in my messy middle, and as I've stated before on multiple episodes, it takes me 6 to 12 months to come up with sort of that next thing. And I'm like halfway through. I'm 6 months in. And the last three, it took 10 and a half months, 10 and a half months, and then a full 12 months. And this topic of discipline is so important right now to discuss, because I like really want to give up. I'm like, okay, why do I have to wake up in the morning and do this? Why do I have to go to New York City? Why do I have to keep meeting people? Um, I think the answer we all know is because there's no other option. We do this because we have to push forward on it. But Frank, you were discussing like the explorer guy you met, and Teddy, you were talking um, about Mike Tyson, why he gets up at 4 a.m. I mean, why are we so disciplined to this stuff? And are we actually that disciplined?
Yeah. I, I'm going to start being French, which is, just to reflect on the word discipline, which is come from French discipline, which comes from Latin disciple. And a disciple is someone who learns. And so what Paris discipline is, is the learning thing. It's like you do it out of knowledge, not out of motivation. So discipline is a great tool for doing things you don't want to do because you know you have to do them. And so when you're in between and you're like, I know I want to launch a new company, so whatever phase you're in, you'll be, I need a team, I need capital, I need inspiration, an idea, something. I need to figure out, where I should live and all these things we talked about before. You want to achieve that, and you know that if you don't push, if you don't meet people, if you don't go through these things, then you're not going to achieve it. Now the question is, why wouldn't you want to do that? And the reason you don't want to do all these things is there's a couple of reasons. I think number one is ego. It's always ego. You're it's really hard to go out there and say, I need the help. I need to talk to people and all of that. So I think that's number one. It kind of sucks to ask people for help, to say, what do you think about this great idea? And people say, it sucks. And then you come back home and you're like, holy shit, like it's not only I don't know what I'm doing, but everybody telling me it's dumb. Or you try to meet people and it doesn't work. And so at one point you're like, fuck that, I'm just going to stay home, watch Netflix, kind of go into some form of entrepreneurial depression, or where it's
Re,
like,
re,
it's like building a business plan. Like, it's like you spend a lot of time on your beautiful Excel and be like, oh my God, like $100 million and we're going to sell 10 million thing. And it makes me feel happy. But as soon as you
It's
go back
daydreaming.
outside, you get slapped in the face.
yeah, yeah.
So anyway,
Or you
so
read a
there's a
ton of
reason you need
articles.
discipline. It's not pleasant. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not pleasant at all. Or you're talking about entrepreneurial depression with Netflix. There's also, where you read a ton of articles about past founders who've been long dead, maybe,
Yeah.
or ones that are still successful, and you're like, well, they did it, I can do it too. Let me just read about them, and that's my discipline for the day. And you're like, oh my God, it's 8 o'clock, and I just
Yeah.
spent 12 hours reading about this stuff. That's not
And
That's not a good usage of time during this discipline,
and I'd be
period.
and I'd be curious to know if people live it differently, because I often talk about the fact that it never gets easier, it gets harder. But I think the unknown, dealing with, you have no money, you don't know where the money is going to come from, you don't have any product, you don't have any startup. It might not be as a big stress of being like, holy shit, I need to raise $10 million, or my competitor just launched the exact same product but better. But in a weird way, I feel like these early unknown things are not really are not pleasant at all. To me, it's almost easier to manage like things that are business oriented, for me at least, than the later stage is easier for me to manage because maybe I was trained for that. But the unknown to me is really, really hard, because you're like the choice, like the number of things you can do is really hard. When you face things like, oh, I've got a big competitor and I don't have cash, like you just have a choice between 3-4 things. Hard choice, sure. The hard things about hard things, but when you don't have any choice and you don't know what to do, it's hard. Just in this messy fog, and it's difficult.
And you kind of need to push forward on it. And this is what we're all telling ourselves now, right? Because we are going through this. And I agree with Frank, and I'm curious to hear what Teddy has to say. It's much easier to have something to work on, even if it's like, even if it's a shitstorm of what's happening. You have a decision. And Frank's whole logic to me and advice when I'm going through something is like, take the deal if you have a deal on the table. Take the idea if you have the idea on the table. But it's different.
So you remind me, talking about discipline, like what you talked about it before, but Iceland, the cold bath is a good example of that.
Yeah.
I think there's something psychological about that the cold, the ice bath, or the whatever, waking up at 4 a.m. It's not about, you wake up, you have more hours in the day, or you take the cold plunge and whatever benefits you have, but it's like the mental discipline that you're creating to, just keep pushing when you have to work on something. And it's really hard for entrepreneurs because you have this blank page and you have to start writing. It's the writer's block. It's very, very hard. How do you it's easy to have a plan and then execute on a plan. And when things work well, you just know what to work on next. But when you have this blank page, it's up to you to come up with something, to start creating, thinking, presentation, whatever, going out, network with people. That's the hardest part. How do you stay disciplined? It's really hard phase, in my mind, the way I'm dealing with it. I'm just I don't know, it feels like a very, a heavy thing that I need to go through and just keep pushing. And then once you sit down and work, once you sort of find little things, you get in the zone, then it becomes easy. But getting to that point, it's really
And I want to talk back about that. And I know we talked about it the week before, but I talked about it today, and we talked about it before this podcast, which is the idea of focusing. And I think it's a wrong theme for people in between. The reason people talk about focus is things like Steve Jobs, where it comes from MBAs, it comes from large corporation. The reason focus is a theme is because companies dies of a lack of focus. You have one product that works really well, and for some reason you're doing 1 million other things, and you shouldn't be doing that, because then you're spread yourself too thin, and you have to kill these things. But it's a very different theme when you're an individual. It's the focus on one thing. If it's the wrong thing you're focusing on, and again, it's really common sense. If you're focusing on the wrong thing, it's awful. It's really, really bad. So again, I think people misread or misunderstand the theme of focusing. It's something really important when you're post Series A, post product market fit. You have tons of cash, and for some reason you're going to start to do all these things that makes no sense. And you have to really wake up and be like, this is not what we should be doing. The whatever your strategy is, it's important. But as an individual, there's no universal answers too, which is always the thing I like about entrepreneurship. And maybe what's different with our podcast. We're not going to come with, here's the 5 things you should focus on.
We don't have an idea.
Exactly. And or whatever. Sorry, what is the thing you should put your discipline on? I'm not even sure. And right now, my latest reflection is maybe my health is a good one. And that might be counterintuitive. But if you're tired all the time, if you're stressed, if you're whatever, And if you decide to focus on getting healthier, maybe it will help you in your path, or maybe that's not the focus you should have. Maybe your discipline should be, and meeting people, like whatever it is. It's even that it's not easy to pick which discipline you need, and that's totally fine. And you want to talk to people and you want to read yourself, and often you're going to look back and being like, I'm an idiot. This is obviously what I should put discipline on. That's kind of the shameful thing. The wrong thing, though, is to realize that and then go on a podcast and tell everybody this is what happened to me and now this is what everybody should do, because it's a bias. But everybody will come with their own discipline. Sorry.
I think it's one discipline. It's just like a muscle, and you can train yourself to be disciplined in like health. It doesn't have to be work related. You just practice in one thing and it becomes your skill. So it has to be.
I would say it has to be work related. Sorry, I'll let you finish. But what I mean is, health should be a focus if somehow it prevents you from sleeping well, for example, which prevents you from having better idea or to be functioning. Like whatever it is, like everything has to be, of course.
But I think
related.
It's the same place, let's say in your brain or whatever it is, like that creates that discipline. That is the same discipline for your health or your work or your whatever habits you have. It's the same source of discipline. So if you are a person who knows how to be disciplined with eating, for example, then you'll be probably doing quite well in like health, paying attention to your health and work.
To me, I'm thinking about that because I went through a week of headaches because I stopped I stopped sugar and coffee in one day, like both of them, sugar and coffee, and I was like it's really hard because you're like, I really need to take some coffee and some sugar so my headache will go away. But went
how
through
are
that.
you feeling now?
Oh, I mean, good. I mean, I feel great because of the contrast of not having headache every day for 5 days.
And you have sugar and coffee now?
No. I just take tea.
Got it.
Oh, you're
fruits
still on the is it like a diet or something, or?
Yeah, I mean, getting married in a few days. So
yeah, Frank keeps sharing soufflés, but yeah, he's not taking.
Soufflé are fine. It's like I eat soufflé at the end of the day, but I didn't. And whatever, we're diverging. But again, discipline is a tool for letting you survive things you don't want to do with a purpose, with an end goal. And so that's one example. I don't want to do that. Like it's easier to go the other way, but if I do that, it's going to kill me. So I know sometimes what's pleasurable is not what should be done. And the messy middle is the same. It's not pleasurable, but you have to go through it. And again, the main message of this podcast is be reassured. Everybody goes through that. Everybody. There's no shame.
Yeah, and you get through on the other side. And
and if people don't get it, I just want to say, if people don't get it, that's just the wrong people to talk to. They're not the right people.
Yeah, right. The more people I talk to, the more I realize that if they're entrepreneurs, we're the same people going through the same shit, and it's like you'll get there. It's just like takes time and all these other little things that we talked about.
A lot of mentors out there who are entrepreneurs and who will tell you what to do with no clue of experiencing it.
Exactly. You want to know from people who've experienced it before, or it's cool also to go through it with people that have never experienced it before. If you are an entrepreneur that's never experienced it before, so
just one thought, but I remember meeting Bob Dorff, who wrote a book with Steve Blank about entrepreneurship, and like both Bob and Steve are like the old founder style.
Old school.
And the way they used to talk about it is they start their talk by saying, "I have plenty of scars." And they're like very proud of it. There's like tons of shit they fucked up, and that's like all these scars they can show. And I think that's also part of the thing is the messy middle is you've got all these scars and they're very fresh, and you also need to deal with them.
And it gets easier as you go through it. Yeah. Like I could say from the discipline standpoint, I told everybody I'm spending 2.5-3 weeks in New York, and it's brutal. Intentionally, but it's also brutal. And like,
so what's your goal? What's the discipline here? What's the motivation?
My goal is just to meet people, to get myself outside of Florida. I mean, I could be sitting on a beach right now. It's very nice. I have 2 cars that are both nice. Like food's good. My family's there. So, but the intention was to get out of my comfort zone, to really shock my system, to push me and say, go meet people. And see if we can handle it here. It's an experiment because I'm here with Nastia. Last time I was here 3 weeks alone. It's much easier to do it alone because you're not taking, now we've taken both of us out of our comfort zone and thrown us into the apartment here, which is our family apartment, but it's we don't have a place here yet. If we move back, of course we'll get our place.
Yeah.
So where the difficulties come in, it's your routine, it's who you're meeting with.
Oh yeah.
But like the discipline for me was like, no matter how hard it's going to get, you're going to stay here for the next two
Yeah.
and a half,
Uh,
3 weeks.
but even for you, it's not that hard, I would say, because imagine someone who doesn't have family, doesn't have apartment, doesn't have to all of that, and then
Didn't
you
get a
have to do it.
consulting gig. Wait, do we
Exactly.
celebrate? Do we celebrate that I signed that consulting gig finally?
Bravo, bravo,
Yay.
bravo.
Yay!
Go Iceland, represent. That's amazing. No, that's good. That's really good. We should celebrate, like, because that's going to be a line of income, keeps you busy, and I can tell like the energy is better already.
It just makes me feel sane.
Yeah.
So it makes me feel like my and I've
And
already
sorry, that's an important thing too, because when you're in the messy middle as an entrepreneur, I think there's something very profound, which is you don't have a function in society. There's nothing. There's like always these jokes in a movie. I forgot which one I watched recently, when the kid was like, I think it was in the Three Body Problem. I was watching that, and at one point, like one of the kid tell his dad, like, "What do you do?" And I was like, "I'm an entrepreneur." It's like that's a word you learn, to just say you're not doing anything. Um, and it kind of feels
That's
that
true.
way, because we're not a function of society. People were like, "What do you do?" "I'm a teacher." That's your function in society. I'm a doctor. I'm a consultant in blah blah. I'm an engineer. You're like,
I'm a
you have
lawyer,
a
I'm an
function.
accountant, I'm a
People
pharmacist.
people buy me for my skills, and I do something specific.
Yeah. Becomes part
But
of your
there's
identity.
absolutely no difference between someone unemployed or some 20 years old kid who have no clue what they want to do in life and a messy middle founder. Unless you're
Or
you're
early
out of the
stage
messy
founder.
right away, like some founders we know. But for some people, it's kind of a like search for what's my purpose in life. Which again, all of these things, I would say at one point, it's fine to talk about it. It's fine we debate them, but there's also the part where like you shut that down. You're like, I don't care. Just wake up in the morning, I do my stuff, and stop thinking about that, because it's not going to help.
And it might look dirty, messy, ugly, gritty. I mean, I'll tell you, like, so I've got the consulting thing. I'm meeting all these people. I put myself 2 week when I was in New York last month, and I had lunch with the guy yesterday. Um, and I literally went to lunch with the guy 3 weeks ago. I was excited about meeting with him, and I'm like, I want to work with you on your new company. And like, I put myself out there. I was so disciplined that I said, I'm going to lunch with the guy. I'm going to pitch him. I'm going to say, let's go do this. And there obviously at the lunch was no reason why I should have said that. Like, I looking back on it, but the discipline was there. Is that if I didn't say that, like, it probably would have put me backwards. It put me behind, and
Yeah. And,
like,
and the good thing about
but I
that.
saw, but wait, I want to finish
Oh,
that. I saw the guy yesterday, and we were laughing, and I was like, how ridiculous was it that I brought my notebook out and I came up
oh,
with some ideas, and I was like, we should work together on this. And he's like, it's fine. He's like, it's not a big deal. He's like, we're friends. And I was like, yeah, but I had to do it. I'm like, I
mm.
had to do it because if I didn't, I wouldn't feel like a person as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, that's
No, and
definitely
So,
more for you as
yeah,
like the discipline part coming from
yeah,
your side. Yeah.
yeah, and
yeah.
I wanted to add two things, like, and pass it to you, Teddy. But to me, the first thing is most entrepreneurs don't realize they have skills, and I think as soon as you get a job and you start to look at the world, they're like, holy shit! Like, people are blind. They overcomplicate everything. Like
Oh yeah.
you're like, you kind of, you're cheesy, but it's like the Matrix, and you got the reality pill, and then you look at everything in a very simple way. It's like, how do you make money? Who do you talk to? Like, and everything becomes simple. And so entrepreneurs are actually really good. I mean, the tech entrepreneurs we're talking about, like, you put them anywhere, they'll be valuable. They don't know that, and most people don't know that. That's what I work on with Recorp. Um, and I think the second thing, it's an analogy. Maybe it's a bad one. I don't want to upset anyone, but I usually give the example of it's another skill founders have, and my analogy is the zoo, where to me there's the animal in the zoo. To me, are the employees, and it's fine. They are like within a specific area. They do a specific job, and they get a steak every month. And the founders are like
Unless they're
out
vegan.
there in the jungle. There's no steak. There's nothing to do. There's a bunch of other people there, and you have to figure out how you survive. And the day the zoo closes, then people are like it's crazy, but that's kind of a daily life of an entrepreneur to be when wherever the zoo closes, you have to build your own. your own purpose. So at least, this skill is going to be useful anyway. So again, like to me, the backup is to be, you know what, like worst case scenario, you're running out of cash, and I keep repeating that, and your 6 month cash, whatever, go out there and look for a job, and you'll be, it's tough. It might hurt your ego, but you'll be fine. It's gonna be like holidays for you. I feel like compared to,
and
maybe I'm wrong, but I get that from a lot of founders. Like for them, a job is almost like holidays.
Whatever project you are taking, like I don't know, maybe in your case, Gabriel, it will turn out to be the same thing. But for me, it just gives you another perspective, and you will start to feel useful again. You're like, what the fuck is going on here? You have new ideas. And you will see how inefficient people are in this, like, whatever, organizations,
you guys
companies.
Have that too, right? Is that something every founders have? Like every time I go grab a coffee, it's like, why is the thing so slow? Why we didn't move the table there? Why blah, blah. It's like, anytime I go to anything and I see inefficient.
Restaurant.
It's like the talk we had a couple of weeks ago, where like you walk in the street and you're like, why is the clothes put that way, or if there's no camera?
I think Dennis talked about that. That was fun because that's how we think, I guess.
I wonder if every founders have this symptom. It'd be interesting, like the fix everything symptom.
I have it from a very, very strong customer service point of view. Like when I go to restaurants, I see that a lot. I'm like, okay, why is this not done properly? Like, or like the payments, because I did payments businesses, and definitely events because of Tectalia. I'm like, this sucks. Like, what is going on? They did not do this properly. Or like, what is this? So I think we all have that. I think we should talk about that other topic that we want to talk about, how, even though you've got, it's still about making money, being an entrepreneur. So Frank likes to say, if you want to become an entrepreneur, don't, because you're not necessarily become rich. If you want to become rich, don't become an entrepreneur, which I think we all...
I'm saying it, but I also quote it because I worked with the Kaufman Foundation. There's been plenty of studies about that shows, statistically, it's not the right thing to do if you're... Especially, it's even counterintuitive, I guess, it's counterintuitive for someone who's overly educated. If you have a PhD from Harvard or a master from, Ivy League, getting a job is going to yield you a lot more money than if you're an entrepreneur, because when you're an entrepreneur, you're competing against everybody. The guy who has zero diploma, whatever, like everybody, like your diploma is literally no value. What's valuable is the knowledge you got from your university and the connection you got. And so if you have zero diploma, zero university, then maybe the yield is better to go for entrepreneurship, because then you're like, I'm a great developer, but no one recognizes it, and then you can build it. But if you have a PhD in whatever, like AI from somewhere, then right now you can go to OpenAI and get paid like shitload of money. Although, to be fair, I'm pretty sure you can raise money too, but we'll talk about that too. When you raise money, doesn't mean you're rich. You can raise $20 million, work 10 years of your life, and yield whatever, $500,000.
Yeah, like some of the examples
that's statistically very likely to happen to you.
It really depends what you want to do in your life, and I'll be honest. I've always thought that I want to be an entrepreneur, not just because I don't really want to have a job and go work corporate or whatever. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur because I thought it was a way for me to make money doing the things that I'm good at. It's not necessarily me to make the most money. If I want to make the most money, I could go to a bank or whatever. I don't know. I probably could have become a dermatologist and taken over my dad's practice and opened up a bunch of offices, but then you'd have to go to medical school. But like, I have a problem with this quote always, because entrepreneurs, you're there to make money. It's yes, you want to have a positive change in the world and everything, but you really also are there to make money as a business, no? Or am I wrong?
I think that's true.
I think you're wrong. because to me, I think making money as a job is an investor job. It's like, that's how you measure things. You put money somewhere and you need to make more money. If you're an entrepreneur and you sell pancakes, your mission in life is to make good pancakes, and people come back, and then you will have money to reflect that. But if you wake up in the morning, I'm gonna make the most money, maybe you'll make crappy pancakes because that's the best thing to do. And so it's a little bit more complicated, right? It's like money is a way to measure the efficiency of what you do, and you should have money, of course, as a way of doing that. But I think I think it depends. Like some founders' goal might be to maximize money, and especially the one who raise money from venture capital, which we talk a lot about. But again, like if your goal is to make the best freaking restaurant in the world, you will make more money making McDonald's. So you see that's what I mean. It's like the money is a tool, I think, for an entrepreneur, not an end goal.
Although Noma's, I mean, if you wanted to say one of the best restaurants in the world to Noma, or one of the other best restaurants in the world, 11 Madison Park, they do extremely well financially. But you're right. If you opened up like Shake Shack or McDonald's,
the French one are really not. I mean, I remember like there's a famous story, but one of the best French chefs, Loiseau, who had a bunch of business and a couple of 3 stars, he committed suicide and shotgun his head because there was too much stress, and he was not making money; he was losing money.
Yeah.
So again, no, I don't think the function, actually, that's what's studied in academia too. The function of an entrepreneur is not to make money. The technical function of an entrepreneur, there's different kind of them, but I guess the real one are a disruptor. It's the creative distraction function, which money is not going to do. Money is going to kind of go in this infinite loop of going back to things that makes money and have low risk. So the founder is disrupting in that, which is it's the thing that says, I see a huge opportunity in a vision I have, and then try to allocate capital, and the one who bet on him make money. But I tend to think there's a separation between money as a tool and money as an end goal.
Yeah, maybe the in examples that I'm seeing, there's, let's say, people who don't really think of this question as money or not in terms of what their goal is, but if there's a founder who explicitly says that they don't care about money and they just want to do this for good, I've never seen anything like that work. Like in a lot of startups, especially.
We interviewed one three interviews ago who literally said I will try to do this thing and I lose all your money.
Yeah, but like there's money in the equation at some point. He's not explicitly said, I don't care about the money or if I'm going to make it or not. I've seen many startups that just talk about
I'm not saying you don't care about the money. I said money is a tool. So it's like if you don't have a tool, you don't have a business. It's important.
Yes.
But like a team is important.
I want to emphasize the fact that if you don't consider the money as part of what you're doing, you must be really fool and dumb, because I've never seen people saying that they want to do this. It's like a social good thing. Especially startups in like Macedonia, for example. They just want to do good things. You will see this good founder talking about whatever, but they're afraid, they're scared. They don't think about money. They're not hungry enough in my mind. So I think these are always like bad examples.
An entire podcast, but I like what Elon says. Like money is an information system for resource and time allocation. And as you said, if you're on an island all alone with ton shit of money, it will not help you. You'll do absolutely nothing. Like money is useless without a bunch of people building stuff that cares and that matters. So for an entrepreneur, money is important. He has to allocate it the right way. Later on, and that's for way after a startup, like when you go public or things like that, there's a choice, I think, and the choice has been well studied, which is what type of company are you going to be? Are you going to a company that's going to align with your shareholders? Are you going to a company that's going to align with your customers, or are you going to be a company that's going to align with your employees? The employees one would be a Starbucks, the consumer one would be Amazon, and the investor one would be Microsoft. And that comes later. You can align your goal with investors, and in that case, yes, your goal will be to make money. But I think that comes way later. I think it's like. Anyway, that's
if you
can
put
dive
it in a way that money is more like a I don't know, communication, information exchange medium. For example, look at it as a phone or laptop. You can have a bunch of people, but if you don't have the laptops, the phones, or the money, you cannot really do anything. So, like from that perspective, you gotta consider the money as part of whatever.
Yeah. But let's flip it. Let's say you take the example of people say I don't care about money. Let's take the example of someone who says my goal is just to make money, and I don't care about whatever startup I want to do. It's just about making money. And then I think the culprit of that would be any random Web3 scam. It's like you'll be like, well, we make money quite fast, win money right now and invest in me. Like, you can take the other extreme to see, that's bad too.
I'm the entrepreneur that does it for the money. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But like, I definitely am doing it a lot for the money and for the mission. But
are you? Because like, for example, the spec thing, you wanted to do something first
I
and
did.
tied to the money. There's not just purely money. It's money
It was
and
never
something.
purely money. It's never
Yeah.
purely money. So
Sorry, I want to go back again. Like, don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying you don't want to make money. What I'm saying is you make money by doing X, Y, Z. And so you pick an X, Y, Z, then you see founders and investors and you say, guys, we're going to make shitload of money doing that thing. That's what you do. That's what you say if you raise money. But if you wake up in the morning and be like, all I care about is the money, I don't care about this stupid product or these stupid customers or whatever.
that doesn't
your business going to die.
That's not going to work. Exactly.
That's called a scam. Like that's how you recognize a scammer.
Oh, 100%. So, and I think because of the fact that none of my startups have been financially from the perspective where I really wanted it to be the outcomes, like we had product market fit for Gamma, we had investor market fit, the SPAC, exited that, BIM exited that, did fine. But like I look at it as like for the next thing that I want to work on, and this is why the discipline is so important here as you push forward through it, is like I want to work on something that has the potential to make a lot of money for investors because it's a good product, because of that. And I think because I've only been an wait.
Oh, sorry, go on.
Because I've only been an entrepreneur my entire life, I wasn't a consultant like you, Frank, at one point. Like I think I already intuitively understand, or maybe it's so kind of tied to my DNA that you have to have a good product, you have to have the best thing that you're building, and then maybe the money will come. Like maybe I skipped over that portion, or is that wrong?
No, I think it's wrong. I think the luck is still a big part of it, but I think to me it's the same as focusing, right? It's like, I need to focus, and like, cool, now you're focusing on the wrong thing. It's not going to help you. Mm-hmm. And the same thing is like, I want to make money, and I want to make money, and I think it might even drive you in the wrong way. So again, like I think at the end, the only thing you have is what are you really good at? Like what are you really, really great at? Having a great team, and then at least checking that the thing you're doing is not going to lose a lot of money or has no hope of making any money. You see, just tune it reversed, and then you start the thing and you're like, okay, let's try to make $1 million. Cool, we made $1 million. Now let's try to make $10 million. But if I would start with, make $1. You see what I mean? I don't disagree with you, but I'm also, you might miss good ideas because you can see a way to make $1 million, but not $1 billion.
That's an interesting observation.
And then you're like, I shouldn't do that. And then 5 years later, you're like, oh shit, like this guy started with this stupid idea, made $1 million, and now it's $1 billion business. And that's very, very common, right? It's like, so I agree, you need the $1 billion plus, like to raise money, blah, blah. But again, let's take an example, right? That you and I and everybody has been talking about it. Like, so what's $1 billion thing? It's like, cool, like robot. Let's build a robot startup. Robot startup is going to make a lot of money. If you can crack it, blah, blah, then it's going to be great. But how do you go from, $0 to $1 million with a robot company right now? It's fucking hard. And so then you're like, okay, maybe I can do something else that has nothing to do with robotics, but I keep the robot part for later. And I know that whatever I'll do at one point, I can reactivate that. So it's difficult. It's really difficult. But yeah, there's no rules, I would say.
So then I guess my kind of answer to that is like, then you'd have to find a good robotics founder and go raise a couple $1 million, and you'll get to that point, right? Like if you really want to do it, don't go start a yogurt machine business and be like, well, this yogurt machine is going to be the best yogurt machine and it's a robot, but really the future is I want to have these robots, be security guards.
It's like Amazon. And so you're like, you're going to start with a robot. No, I would say you would start with a robot yogurt machine. But you know that your next step is going to be, we start with a yogurt and then we go with the fridge, and then the fridge is going to move and have legs and start to clean your home. And now we have these millions of people who are already in their home, and so we can upsell like a bunch of home robots, whatever. Like founders do that naturally, but again, I think there's two paths. Like there's the founder, but then there's the investors. So if now you're an entrepreneur in between and you want to shift towards investment, then that's a very different story. Your goal should be making money, and your goal should be invest in things. And for you, Gabriel, maybe it's why, because you're both an entrepreneur, but you also really, really, went strong on finance.
Yes.
And so I think you're conflicted. But if you take the financial perspective, and it's easier. It's like, okay, Pete, give me your pitch. And it's like, is that $1 billion thing? Nah, I'll pass. And so you don't have to do all the work of figuring out that thing. It's someone else has worked really hard to somehow been self-selected with some pitch and some opportunity for that.
Yeah.
And then, yes,
I guess we'll
as an
see.
investor, you should invest in that, definitely.
So I guess we'll see. I mean, I just don't want to become an investor yet. It's not. It's
a never-ending debate, right? And and then my friends are investors. They're like, oh my god, it sucks. I want to be a founder. Can't take it anymore. And the founder is like, I want to be an investor. It sounds great. It's nature. People like to try something else.
Grass is greener.
Yeah.
Okay. We got a quote. Who's got the quote for this week?
Teddy.
I do not have a quote.
It's been a while.
Look for one.
It's been a while. You didn't give us any quote.
I'm out of quotes for the year. No, if you guys have any quote to share, that'd be great. I don't have one. Or we can spend like 5-10 minutes so I can quote
5-10 minutes? We're going to spend 5 to 10 minutes for you to
Well, I
find a
gotta
quote?
do a research.
No. What about
read like
what
a
about we
random quote.
co-construct our own quote? Like let's figure out a quote about discipline. Let's make it.
We'll do our own.
Own quote. Discipline is like. I'm going to start. Discipline is like. Teddy.
Going through a cold pool.
Teddy.
And.
And okay, discipline is like going through a cold pool and enjoying it. There you go. It's a good quote.
I bet your chat GPT could have done a better quote. But yes. So discipline is like going through a cold pool and enjoying it. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Thank you.
Bye.